Heat wraps thick around the small wooden sauna cabin. Donna traces a bead of sweat down her forearm. Slow, unhurried. The whole group is spread out across rough wooden benches, each settling into their own small routine. Fern tosses a tiny ice cube into her drink, listens to it crack against the glass. Vamp leans against the back wall, flipping a silver knife over and over between his calloused fingers. The blade catches the firelight every time it turns. Luna hums a soft, wordless tune under her breath, tapping a slow rhythm against the bench edge. Kage stares fixed at the crackling cast-iron stove, watching embers shift and glow. Subaru runs a cloth along the length of his sword, polishing away every faint smudge. Sana swirls a full mug of berry tea across her knee, the steam curling up toward the low ceiling. The cabin smells of hot wood and steeped berries. No one speaks. The quiet is comfortable, worn in from years of traveling together. Then the door slams open. The cold outside air hits the room all at once, sending a shiver through the heat. The humming cuts off mid-note. The knife stops mid-flip. The polishing cloth pauses against the sword blade. Every head snaps toward the door. Footsteps thud against the wooden floor. Someone steps inside, boots still dusted with road dirt. It's Alaska, Sana's older sister. She never knocks, never announces herself. She steps all the way in, leans one shoulder against the doorframe, and lets the cold keep pouring in behind her. Her voice is rough from riding wind, sharp with urgency. Mom needs all of us in the Sushi Kingdom right now, she says. The whole kingdom's in trouble. The words hang in the heated air, cold as the wind that came through the door. Donna wipes the sweat from her forearm and stands. Fern stands next, grabbing her half-empty drink off the bench. Vamp catches his silver knife mid-fall, tucks it into his belt without a word. Luna stops humming entirely, already reaching for her quiver propped by the wall. No one asks questions. No one pushes for details. They know Alaska would not have come this far for anything less than an emergency. Sana sets her berry tea mug down hard enough that a splash of hot tea sloshes over the edge onto her knee. She wipes it off on the bench, grabs her pack off the floor, and follows the others out. The sun hits them hard after the dark sauna heat, bright on the grass outside the cabin. Alaska swings up onto the driver's seat, grabs the reins, and snaps them once. The horses lean into their harness. The wagon wheels lurch forward, rolling over packed dirt. They kick up a thick cloud of yellow dust behind them as the wagon rolls out of the northern hills toward the distant tree line that marks the edge of the lowland. For 3 hours, the wagon rolls on, the wheels bouncing over ruts and small stones. They pass thick pine forests, whose needles drop cold dew on the canvas, then cross rocky, shallow streams where the water splashes up over the wagon wheels. The air shifts slowly as they travel. First it smells of pine resin, then it turns sweet with wild clover, then sharp with salt from the distant coast. Finally, it settles into the warm, savory scent of steamed rice and raw fish that hangs over the whole Sushi Kingdom. When the wagon crests the final hill, they climb down and leave the horses hitched out of sight. They grab their gear and walk the last mile down to the edge of the rice woods. Alaska already knows where the thief hides. The goblin's lair sits at the far end of these woods, she says. They step between the first rows of stalks, and the tall rice brushes their shoulders with every step. The path twists and turns so sharply the compass spins. Twice they end up back at the same gnarled oak tree, their own footprints already pressed into the soft mud. Donna stops, leans against the trunk, and catches her breath. The sun is already dipping low, painting the tops of the rice stalks pale gold. They don't have time to wander until dark. Kage kneels down, runs a finger over the damp mud near the tree root, and freezes. He points. A set of large, clawed footprints presses deep into the wet earth, clearly marked, fresh enough that the edges haven't caved in. They follow the prints one slow step at a time, watching the mud for each new mark. The rice grows thicker, the deeper they go. The light fades fast. After an hour of slow tracking, they push through a wall of climbing vines and stop. A dark cave mouth gapes open before them, Half hidden behind the leaves, the air that drifts out smells of mud and rot. The goblin is already inside. It is waiting. Donna steps through the vine curtain first, squinting to adjust her eyes to the dark. The air smells of stale blood and wet stone. Before she can take a second step, the goblin moves. It looms twice as tall as Subaru, green skin crusted with mud and dried leaves. It swings a crude iron club straight for Donna's head, faster than any human could move. Donna drops low and ducks. The club whooshes over her head, slams into the rock wall behind her, and shatters the stone into shards that rain down across the cave floor. Fern throws a weighted net from her hip, aiming for the goblin's legs. The net wraps tight around the thick limbs, and Fern yanks the rope to lock it. The goblin roars, twists hard, and rips the net apart in one pull. Rope fragments go flying across the cave. Vamp flings the silver knife he keeps flipped between his fingers. The blade slices clean across the goblin's upper arm, and thick dark blood drips down the rock onto the floor. The goblin does not slow. Luna knocks 3 arrows at once, draws her bow to the ear, and looses. All 3 sink deep into the goblin's shoulder. The roar gets louder, raw with pain and rage. The goblin lowers its head and charges straight for the group. Club raised high for the killing blow. They wrap the glowing gem in thick leather, tie the sack shut, and walk back out of the rice woods. By the time they reach the castle gates, the sun has dipped below the rice fields, and the sky glows soft purple. They follow Queen Jade to the throne, and she presses the gem into the empty slot carved above the bamboo seat. The whole throne room lights up with soft, warm green light. Outside, the dying rice fields brighten back to deep, healthy gold. That night, the whole group slips into the castle's private hot spring. Steam curls up around their shoulders, warming the sore muscles strained from the fight. They pass a bottle of aged rice wine between them and laugh loud when Fern mimics the goblin's clumsy, roaring charge. Sana hangs back at the stone edge, talking quiet with Queen Jade. Queen Jade presses a hand to Sana's shoulder, nods once, and a small smile tugs at her mouth. No words are needed. Sana understands. She crosses back to the group, sits down on the warm stone, and leans into the steam. They spread crumpled travel maps across the edge, tracing possible routes with damp fingers. The next adventure is already waiting.